The Astros were swept out of Cincinnati this week, losing to them in 3 games over a span of 4 days. What is happening with us against the Reds? I mean, they're the one team in the league that it feels like that we can't beat, and they're not even a good team either. So I don't know what's up with that. But we're going to talk all about this series, plus share some other injury updates with this team coming up in this video. Stay tuned. Gosh, dude, this was a very disappointing series to say the least. I mean, we've had some disappointing moments in our season to this point. Like, it's kind of like what our season is in a nutshell. But I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, dude, this was just disappointing. I mean, and that doesn't even begin to describe it. It started with a loss that was kind of bearable. We ended up losing 5-3, but Justin Verlander had really been struggling recently. He did pitch again in this game, and I don't know what's wrong with him. I mean, could he end up being left off the postseason rotation? I'm not saying he's not going to make the roster. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on with him. But real quick, let's dive into a quick injury update on Kyle Tucker. There's a chance that he could return to the lineup within the next day or two. He could return for tonight's game against the Diamondbacks, if not Saturday's game. So we'll see what happens on that. But Alex Bregman was able to return in this series for games 2 and 3 after his elbow soreness was hopefully healed for good. Obviously, if and when the Astros clinch first place in the AL West and wrap up their playoff spot, I would imagine they might rest him just a little bit more for the playoffs. So we'll see we'll see what happens. Diving into the series itself, again, like I said, it was a very disappointing series. The first game, it was JV Day. Didn't really feel much like JV Day. Verlander walked the bases loaded in the very first inning by walking the first 3 batters he had faced, which is so uncharacteristic of him. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's one thing if you want to allow a walk or 2 in the first inning, but walking the first 3 and having 2 of those guys come around to score, that's so uncharacteristic of you. And I mean, the first run came on a sac fly, and I mean, it certainly could have been worse if he had gotten out of that inning unscathed, and I mean, it wouldn't have been worst case scenario for us. Like, I mean, we can chip at it, and I mean, the Astros certainly did chip at it with Yonny Diaz dropping a 2-run single to knot the game at 2 a couple innings later. But eventually, as Joe Espada was about to pull Verlander out of his outing, he convinced him to let him stay in, and he did let him stay in. However, a bloop hit by the next batter he would face would allow the Reds to take the lead that they would not relinquish. The pitching over the course of the series, again, like I said, it was just terrible. I mean, the offense, they really did more than enough over the course of this series, scoring at least 3 runs a game, except for game 3, which, I mean, the offense was pretty much silent. More on that in a bit. But again, like I said, the offense did enough. I mean, especially even in game 2 of this series, Spencer Arrighetti, coming fresh off of winning AL Rookie of the Month, had practically just hit a bump in the wall as he gave up 9 runs in the first inning, and he didn't even make it out of the first inning. What's even worse is that almost all of these runs that he gave up came with 2 strikes. And, I mean, I think some of them also had come with 1 or 2 outs. He just couldn't quite put hitters away. And it also did not help that Jeremy Pena, who was coming in having committed a lot of errors, I think second in the AL when I had last looked. He had also stated that fatigue might have been a part of that, which, I mean, I can kind of understand. There's not much of an excuse for that. But it also did not help that he had committed, that he had booched a ground ball that initially I thought was going to get ruled an error. But I guess the scorekeeper might have felt bad for him for how many errors he had committed recently because they didn't charge Pena with an error. But either way, that led to an additional 6 earned runs for the Reds in that very first inning. And he probably would have otherwise gotten them out of the inning and very well could have kept the Astros in that game. Personally, if you take all 9 runs out of that first inning, the Astros win this game easily. Or even if you just subtract 6 runs, I mean, we probably could have at least gone to extra innings or something like that. But overall, dude, I mean, this was still a tough game for us. I mean, hopefully this isn't a fluke for Spencer Arrighetti. I mean, I still think that he still has a lot in him. I think he is going to make the postseason roster. And hopefully this is just a fluke for him because he is going to get a couple more starts this month, I'll tell you that. Overall, dude, I don't know what was happening with Spencer Arrighetti, and I don't have much more information on what his analysis was on that poor start, as we didn't get a video of him for that. But going into Game 3, the Astros were having to face another rookie pitcher who was just making his second Major League start. Obviously, I mean, we know how this usually goes for the Astros. They usually make a rookie pitcher who's making his second or third Major League start, even his Major League debut, just look like a freaking Cy Young candidate. And that's exactly what they did because he held the Astros scoreless, practically hitless, might I add, for pretty much 6 innings straight. The only chance that they really had against this guy was when the Astros had gotten 2 base hits, one from Chas McCormick and one from Ben Gamble, who had actually gone on base but drawing an 8-pitch walk. The Astros would then call on pinch hitter Victor Caratini to pinch hit for Jason Hayward. Then the Reds immediately countered with a pitching change, and the new pitcher into the game was able to get Caratini to bounce into an inning-ending double play, thus erasing that rally. That was a really heartbreaking kind of way to see that end. But what was more frustrating rather, but was also frustrating. Let's rewind just a little bit. Going back here to I believe the third inning, Alex Bregman was at bat, and he appeared to have gotten hit by a pitch. It was ruled that he did not get hit by the pitch. The Astros would challenge this ruling and also would challenge whether he had actually fouled it, because that was what was called on the floor. And I mean, I do question why we were challenging this call to begin with, because foul ball calls are not reviewable unless it's like, a line drive that's hit, past the infield and lands like, close to the outfield wall. If it lands, whether it lands fair or foul, that's the portion of it that's reviewable. But like, this was a foul ball at the plate. Basically, whether a foul ball actually hits the bat or not, that's not actually a reviewable play, but for some reason this actually did go to review. But regardless, you can clearly see in this video that there was no evidence that Alex Bregman's bat actually hit the ball, because there's a clear as day gap between the ball and the bat. Therefore, instead, you would then have to rule that the ball actually hit him. But apparently here, and also in that same video, you can kind of see that it doesn't seem like the ball hit him. I thought at first that the ball did in fact not hit him, and so, when the verdict of the call in the field of no hit by pitch stood, I wasn't too upset about it, because, there was really no evidence to overturn the call of him not getting hit by the pitch, even though he did walk towards first base, taking off all of his gear before they even went to review. But the part that I'm kind of upset about, and what's so sickening of how umpires make calls these days, is the fact that this was called a foul ball. The ball didn't even hit his bat. Get the call right. I understand that this was a day game and maybe people are just settling in after all, didn't get their coffee or whatever, but there's really no excuse for booching a replay call this early on into the game. Obviously, there's a reason why foul ball calls like this are not reviewable, because, if there's no chance for you to, overturn it, just with the nature of this, and it's just a flaw with how video is these days. Even, when you're analyzing a hit by pitch, the problem is that, when you're analyzing it in slow motion, the ball just travels so fast that, in one frame, it's right here, but then in the next frame, it's all the way over here. And it's just a flaw with how video is, unless you get a super expensive phantom camera, which, I don't even know how expensive phantom cameras are these days. They're probably not cheap. But regardless of which way you look at it, the call of a foul ball being stood, obviously that's not the correct call. But also the call of no hit by pitch is correct. Let me know down in the comments. Do you guys think that overall this is incorrect? Obviously one of those calls is obviously not correct, but personally, if you put the two together, obviously Bregman should have been ruled that he was hit by the pitch like he was originally claiming, but he wasn't, and video was saying that he didn't get hit by the pitch. There's no evidence saying that he was actually hit by the pitch or not. So, that part I think is correct, but I'm not going to talk about this for the next 10-15 minutes or something like that. So like I said, the Astros offense was pretty much held in check. They had 4 hits going into the 9th inning. The only blemish in this game was a solo home run by Ty France off of Brian Abreu. Ty France, in his career with the Mariners, he has been a thorn in our freaking side. And he had, I think, maybe 9 hits this entire series, including 4 in game 1, 2 or 3, I think, in game 2, the blowout win for the Reds, that is. And then one of those hits I know for a fact was that home run. I'm not sure if he had any other hits. The Astros finally did retire him for once, but overall it was pretty much already too late. Next up for the Astros, it's not going to get any easier. We're returning home to face a red hot Diamondbacks team that was just fresh off of making it all the way to the World Series. Their offense is pretty good. They actually currently lead the majors as of when I'm recording this in runs scored. So, again, pitching, much like I said in a previous video, I don't know if it was this Red Series or the Royals Series. It might have been the Royals Series, now that I think about it. But pitching is definitely going to be deciding this series. We've got hopefully our 3 best pitchers. We've got Framber Valdez on Friday, Yusei Kikuchi on Saturday, and then it'll be JV Day on Sunday night. So hopefully Verlander can bounce back, because it's kind of sad to see him play like this. I do still think that Verlander is still one of the best pitchers out there, but if he's still going to be continuing to play like this down the stretch going into the playoffs, then I feel like as much as I hate to say this, I don't think he should be on the roster. As little as I think that's going to happen, he's going to be making the roster no matter what. But is he going to be in the starting rotation? Probably not. Is he going to be the number 1 starter in the postseason? Certainly not. That's for sure. It doesn't, regardless of whether the Astros have to start their postseason run in the wild card series against one of the wild card teams, or if they're able to overtake the Cleveland Guardians for the number 2 spot and clinch a bye into the division series. We'll see how the postseason race goes. Overall, dude, the Astros certainly, I mean, I don't think it's time to panic just yet, but again, we need to just flip the page and move on. We've got a good red hot Diamondbacks team coming to Houston. I mean, again, obviously they've been playing good as of late. I mean, if we can at least win this series, I think that we'll still be in this mix. But, I mean, again, the AL West race certainly is going to be getting a little bit interesting, because now the Astros, when they were up 6.5 going into this week, they're now only up by 4.5 games. The Rangers are now 3 games behind the Mariners, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, personally, if the Rangers do overtake the Mariners, I won't consider that worst case scenario, because the Astros have the tiebreaker over the Rangers, I guess, at this moment. Though, I mean, the Mariners have not clinched the tiebreaker over the Astros just yet, though if the Astros lose one of their last 3 games against the Mariners later this month, then they will. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked it, please leave a like. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. And if you want to watch any of my other stuff, click these cards here that are above my shoulders. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, like I said, and I'll see you guys in the next video.